The sky turned dark at noon. Captain Lisa Morgan stood on the roof of the North American Defense Command Center, her eyes fixed on the clouds. Something was wrong. Very wrong. "Captain Morgan, you need to see this," shouted Rick Davis, her communications officer. His face was pale, his hands shaking as he held up his tablet. Lisa grabbed the device. The radar screen showed dozens of massive objects entering Earth's atmosphere. Not meteors, not satellites. These objects moved with purpose, slowing down as they approached major cities. "Get me the general," she ordered, her heart pounding in her chest. But before Rick could make the call, every screen in the command center flickered. A face appeared, blue-skinned, with 4 glowing yellow eyes and a mouthful of needle-like teeth. "People of Earth," the creature spoke in perfect English. "I am Admiral Kraz of the Zavarian Dominion. Your planet has been chosen for integration into our empire." Lisa watched in stunned silence as the alien continued. "Resistance is pointless. Your primitive weapons cannot harm our vessels. Surrender now, and we will allow your species to live as servants of the Dominion." The transmission ended. Chaos erupted around her. Within hours, giant ships hovered over New York, Tokyo, London, Moscow, Beijing, and 20 other major cities. Each ship was at least a mile wide, shaped like a flat disk with glowing blue rings pulsing along its edges. The world's governments tried to respond. Fighter jets scrambled to intercept the alien vessels. Lisa watched from the command center as the radar showed American F-35s approaching the ship over Washington, D.C. "They're firing missiles," reported Rick, his eyes glued to the screen. The missiles streaked toward the alien ship. Before they could hit, they simply vanished, as if swallowed by invisible shields. The alien ship didn't even bother to return fire. It simply continued to hover, untouched. President Clark ordered a more powerful response. 3 nuclear missiles were launched from submarines in the Atlantic. Lisa held her breath as they approached their target. The result was the same. The weapons disappeared before making contact. Admiral Kraz's face appeared on screens worldwide, again. He was laughing. "Such primitive weapons," he mocked. "Your most powerful explosives cannot even scratch our shields. We have harnessed the power of stars, while you still rely on simple chemicals and basic physics." The alien gave Earth 48 hours to surrender. Lisa was summoned to the White House bunker, deep beneath the presidential residence. Military leaders from around the world joined via secure video links. "Captain Morgan," said the president, "you've been studying potential alien threats for 5 years. What are we dealing with?" Lisa stood straight, aware that all eyes were on her. "Sir, their technology is far beyond ours. Based on initial scans, their ships use some form of energy field we've never seen before. Our weapons can't penetrate it." "So we're helpless?" asked General Watson, his face grim. "Not necessarily," Lisa replied. "Their attitude suggests overconfidence. They've probably conquered other worlds easily and expect the same here. That might be a weakness we can exploit." The president nodded. "I'm putting you in charge of a special response team, Captain. Find a way to fight these things." Within hours, Lisa was promoted to colonel and given authority to select her team. She chose carefully. Dr. Alan Williams, a weapons engineer known for thinking outside the box. He had been fired from 3 government labs for experiments considered too risky. Grace Baker, a former Special Forces operator who specialized in fighting against superior enemies. She had trained resistance fighters in 6 countries and written the book on guerrilla warfare. Sam Rodriguez, once the most wanted hacker in America before the government hired him instead of jailing him. He could break into any system ever built. And Joe Kelly, a farm boy turned physicist who understood materials in ways others couldn't even comprehend. Lisa gathered them in an underground bunker in the Rocky Mountains, safe from alien sensors. "They think we're primitive," she told her team as they sat around a metal table. "They're laughing at our weapons. Our job is to make them choke on that laughter." "Their shields stop everything we throw at them," said Joe, examining the data from the failed attacks. "But no defense is perfect. Everything has a weakness. Even if we find a weakness, how do we fight ships that big? Asked Grace, the warrior's skepticism clear in her voice. Sam grinned, typing rapidly on his laptop. The bigger they are, the harder they fall, and I just intercepted some of their communications. Their computer language isn't that different from ours. What about their weapons? Asked Alan, already sketching designs on his tablet. What if we could turn their own technology against them? Lisa looked at her small team, probably the only humans actively planning resistance instead of surrender. The United Nations was already drafting terms to give Earth to the aliens. We have 36 hours before the world surrenders, she said. Let's use that time to find a way to surprise these aliens. A small explosion came from Alan's corner of the lab. Everyone turned to look as he smiled sheepishly, his face covered in soot, but his eyes bright with excitement. I think I found something interesting about how their shields work, he said. Lisa felt the first spark of hope. Tell me everything. Outside, the alien ships continued to hover, their crews never suspecting that the supposedly primitive humans below were about to teach them a lesson about underestimating your enemy. Lisa woke to alarms blaring. She jumped from her cot, still wearing yesterday's clothes. What's happening? She shouted as she ran into the command center of their underground bunker. Sam looked up from his computer. They're moving into the cities. Earth surrendered 3 hours ago. It had been 2 weeks since the aliens arrived. 2 weeks of failed attacks and growing despair. The world's governments had finally given up. The president signed the surrender papers himself, Grace said, her face hard with anger. All military forces are ordered to stand down. Lisa looked around at her small team, the only humans still fighting. They had ignored the surrender order. Their hidden base in the Rocky Mountains was now one of the last free places on Earth. Show me what's happening, Lisa ordered. Sam turned on the main screen. It showed live feeds from cities around the world. Alien ships hovered above the streets. Strange blue-skinned creatures walked among humans, directing them like cattle. They're setting up collection points, said Grace, pointing to one screen. Gathering humans for processing. Processing for what? Joe asked, his farm boy face pale with fear. No one answered. No one wanted to guess. Alan burst into the room, his hair wild, eyes bright with excitement. I've got something. I've been studying the piece of alien shield technology we recovered, and I found a pattern in how it works. He spread diagrams across the table. Their shields block anything moving above a certain speed. That's why bullets and missiles disappear, but slower objects might get through. Lisa felt a flutter of hope. So a thrown rock might work where a bullet fails? Exactly, Alan nodded. Their technology is built to stop high-energy weapons, not simple physics. Grace frowned. Great, so we can throw rocks at spaceships. That'll scare them. It's a start, Lisa said. What else have we learned? Sam raised his hand. I've been watching their patrol patterns. They're creatures of habit. Same routes, same times every day. They're getting lazy because they don't think we're a threat. And I've been listening to their communications, Joe added. They use some kind of quantum tech, but there's a 3-second delay when they switch channels. It's not much, but it's a gap. Lisa nodded. Good work, everyone, but we need more information. We need to understand how they think, not just how their tech works. I might have an idea about that, Grace said quietly. My contacts say they captured an alien soldier yesterday. He's being held in an old mine shaft about 50 miles from here. We need that alien, Lisa decided immediately. Grace, you and I are going. Sam, keep digging into their systems. Alan and Joe keep working on their shield technology. 6 hours later, Lisa and Grace crawled through the mud toward a hidden mine entrance. 4 armed men guarded a metal door, built into the hillside. Friends of yours? Lisa whispered. Grace nodded. Former special forces. They refused the surrender order too. The guards recognized Grace and let them inside. Deep in the mine, they found a small blue-skinned alien chained to the wall. He was smaller than Admiral Kraz, with only 2 eyes instead of 4. His uniform was torn and dirty. Has he said anything? Lisa asked the guard. Nothing we can understand. Keeps making clicking sounds. Lisa approached the alien slowly. I'm Colonel Lisa Morgan, she said clearly. What's your name? The alien stared at her, then made a series of clicks and whistles. We need a way to communicate, Lisa muttered. Grace pulled out a tablet. Try this. Sam created a basic translation program based on their broadcasts. Lisa held up the tablet, which displayed simple pictures. She pointed to herself, then to a picture of Earth. Then she pointed to the alien and a question mark. There, alien seemed to understand. He pointed to a star pattern on the screen, then to himself. He's showing us where he's from, Lisa realized. For hours, they worked with simple pictures and gestures. Slowly, they began to understand each other. The alien's name sounded like Zeke. He was a low-ranking soldier, and he was afraid. Why afraid? Lisa asked through pictures. Zeke made gestures that suggested he feared his own leaders more than humans. I think he's saying he'll be killed for being captured, Grace translated. Ask him how many worlds they've conquered, Lisa suggested. Zeke understood. He held up all his fingers twice. 20 worlds. Ask if anyone ever defeated them, Lisa said, excitement building. Zeke made the gesture for no. Then he drew something on the dirt floor, a crude picture of Earth weapons bouncing off Zavarian shields. They really do think our weapons are jokes, Grace said. But then Zeke drew something else, a simple trap, a hole covered with branches. He pointed to it and made a gesture like falling, then laughed. He's saying they don't expect simple traps, Lisa realized. Their advanced technology makes them blind to basic tactics. As they drove back to base, Lisa's mind raced with ideas. They've conquered 20 worlds, all probably with technology similar to ours. They've designed their defenses to stop conventional weapons like guns and missiles. But not sticks and stones, Grace finished the thought. Not traps and ambushes. Exactly, Lisa said as they pulled into the hidden garage. They expect us to fight like everyone else they've conquered. They're not prepared for how humans really wage war. Back in the command center, Lisa gathered her team. I know how we're going to fight back, she announced. We won't try to match their technology. We'll go primitive. We'll use the weapons they're laughing at, but in ways they've never seen before. For the first time since the invasion, her team smiled. Even as alien ships continued to spread across the planet, the first real spark of resistance was lighting in the Colorado mountains. Lisa stared at the map spread across the table. Red pins marked alien control centers. Blue pins showed resistance bases. 3 months had passed since Earth surrendered, and the blue pins were finally outnumbering the red. Report, she said, as her team gathered for the morning meeting. Alan placed a wooden box on the table and opened it. Inside were arrows with strange, glowing tips. I finally got it right, he said proudly. These arrowheads are made from a mix of iron, copper, and a mineral we found in the mountains. When they move slowly, like an arrow instead of a bullet, they pass right through alien shields. Then the mineral disrupts their personal armor. You made arrows? Sam laughed. Like Robin Hood? Exactly like Robin Hood, Lisa smiled. The aliens watch for guns and missiles. They don't watch for bows and arrows. Grace nodded with approval. My fighters are ready. We've been training with these weapons for weeks. In the 3 months since discovering the aliens' weakness to primitive weapons, Lisa's small team had grown into a real resistance. Hundreds of fighters now operated from their mountain base, with thousands more in cells across the country. They communicated using paper messages and old radio frequencies the aliens didn't bother to monitor. What about your project, Sam? Lisa asked. The former hacker grinned. I call them zappers. He held up what looked like a small garage door opener. When an alien ship starts changing communication channels, there's that 3-second gap we found. If you press this button during that gap, it overloads their systems for about 30 seconds. Long enough to attack, Lisa noted. Joe raised his hand. I've been studying their patrol patterns in Denver. They always follow the same routes at the same times. And I found something else. They can't see well in rain or fog. Their vision is designed for the clear skies of their home world. Lisa looked at her team with pride. These people had been working non-stop for months, turning the aliens' arrogance against them. "It's time," she announced. "Tonight we hit the outpost near Denver. The plan was simple. Wait for bad weather. Use Sam's zappers during a communication shift. Attack with Alan's arrows and other slow-moving weapons the alien shields couldn't stop." At midnight, Grace led 20 fighters through the rainy forest toward the alien outpost. It was a small base with only 10 Zavarian guards. The perfect target for their first real attack. Lisa watched through binoculars from a nearby hill. Rain poured down, giving the humans an advantage. The aliens moved awkwardly in the downpour, their 4 eyes blinking constantly against the water. "Ready?" Grace's voice came through the old-style radio. Waiting for the communication shift, they had learned that the aliens changed communication channels every hour on the hour. It was now 11:59 p.m. 30 seconds, Lisa said into her radio. The fighters moved into position, bows ready. Simple weapons for a superior enemy. 10 seconds. 5. Now! Sam pressed his zapper. For an instant, nothing happened. Then the lights on the alien outpost flickered. The guards looked around in confusion, touching their communication devices. "Go!" Lisa ordered. The resistance fighters rose. From the bushes, arrows flew through the rain, moving just slowly enough to slip through the alien shields. The guards fell one by one, surprised by weapons they had never considered a threat. In less than a minute, it was over. The outpost was captured without a single human casualty. "We did it," Grace said, her voice full of wonder as she reported back. "Their weapons and communication devices are intact, and we found maps of other outposts." Word of the victory spread quickly through the resistance network. Within days, similar attacks occurred in Chicago, Atlanta, and San Francisco. Simple, primitive tactics working against the most advanced enemy humans had ever faced. Admiral Kraz appeared on global broadcasts, his blue face twisted with rage. "These cowardly attacks using primitive weapons will not save you," he declared. "The Dominion has conquered 20 worlds. Your pitiful resistance will be crushed." But for the first time, humans noticed something in the alien leader's voice. Fear. 3 weeks after the first attack, Lisa stood before 200 new volunteers in the mountain base. "The aliens laugh at our primitive weapons," she told them. "They think technology is what makes a species strong. But humans have something better than technology. We have adaptability." She showed them how to use the bows Alan had designed. Grace taught them to move silently through forests. Joe explained how to exploit the aliens' poor vision in bad weather. "We don't fight the way they expect us to fight," Lisa explained. "That's our advantage." A scout burst into the training hall, breathing hard. "They found us. Alien ships are heading this way." "How many?" Lisa asked, her heart racing. "At least 3 big ones. They'll be here in an hour." Lisa turned to her team. "They've finally realized we're a real threat. Plan B, everyone." The resistance fighters moved with practiced efficiency, grabbing only essential supplies. Within 20 minutes, the base was empty except for Lisa and her core team. "Everything ready?" she asked Sam. He nodded, setting the last explosive charge. "When they land to search the base, they'll get a surprise." Grace checked her map. "The new base in Wyoming is ready. Our people are heading there now." Lisa took one last look around the place that had been their home for months. "Let's go. This is just the beginning." As they drove away through mountain tunnels, Lisa smiled. The aliens had finally stopped laughing at Earth's primitive weapons. Now they were learning to fear them. 6 months into the alien occupation, Earth was no longer the easy conquest Admiral Kraz had promised his superiors. The resistance had grown from Lisa's small team to a worldwide movement. Humans fought back with weapons so simple the aliens had never considered them threats. In the new resistance base hidden deep in an abandoned mine in Wyoming, Lisa studied the latest reports. Resistance cells had now captured over 50 alien outposts. They had stockpiles of alien weapons, though. These were kept only as trophies. Humans had found their own way to fight. "Colonel Morgan," Sam called, rushing into the command center. "We got it. We finally got it." He placed a small metal disc on the table. It was part of an alien fighter that had crashed near Seattle 2 weeks ago. "What am I looking at?" Lisa asked. Alan joined them, his eyes bright with excitement. The power source. We've been studying it day and night. This is what makes everything work. Their ships, their weapons, even their life support systems. Joe picked up the disc carefully. It creates energy using a specific frequency of electromagnetic waves, nothing like what we use on Earth. Lisa's mind raced with possibilities. Can we disrupt it? Better, Alan grinned. We can shut it down completely. Every alien device on the planet, all at once. The team gathered around as Alan explained. The alien technology relied on a precise frequency of energy. If they could create a massive electromagnetic pulse at the exact opposite frequency, they could cancel out the alien power sources. Like noise-canceling headphones, but for energy, Sam explained. How big would this pulse need to be? Lisa asked. Alan's smile faded. Bigger than anything we've ever built. We'd need to use power plants all over the world, all firing at exactly the same moment. That's impossible, Grace said, shaking her head. Half the planet is still under alien control. Lisa stared at the map on the wall. Red pins and blue pins. The aliens still controlled most major cities and power infrastructure. What if we trick them into bringing more ships into the atmosphere? She asked slowly. Every ship they bring down is another target. Sam nodded eagerly. We could make them think we're planning something big. They'd call for reinforcements. And then we hit them all at once, Lisa finished. I'm calling it Operation Thunderclap. Planning took another month. Lisa sent word to resistance cells around the world. They would launch coordinated attacks in dozens of places, making the aliens think humans were planning a massive uprising. The Zavarians would respond by bringing more ships into the atmosphere. Meanwhile, Alan, Sam, and Joe worked day and night building devices to create the electromagnetic pulse. They needed thousands of them, placed at power stations worldwide. Grace trained special teams for the most important mission, delivering the devices to power plants in alien-controlled territories. This is our one chance, Lisa told her commanders. If it fails, the aliens will adapt. We won't get another opportunity. The first phase began on a Tuesday. Resistance fighters attacked alien outposts in 30 countries simultaneously. They used the primitive weapons that had proven so effective: bows, slings, nets, and traps. The attacks were designed not to win, but to look threatening enough that the aliens would call for backup. Admiral Kraz responded exactly as Lisa had hoped. Crush this primitive resistance, he ordered. Hundreds of Zavarian ships descended from orbit, bringing more troops and weapons to Earth. It's working, Grace reported. Alien ship count in the atmosphere has doubled in the last 3 days. But the second phase was harder. Sneaking the pulse devices into power plants guarded by alien troops proved dangerous. 3 teams were captured. 5 more disappeared completely. We've lost contact with the team in Chicago, Sam reported grimly. And the London team missed their check-in. Lisa felt the weight of command heavy on her shoulders. We can't wait any longer. How many devices are in place? 78%, Alan answered. It might be enough. It has to be, Lisa decided. We launch tomorrow at dawn. Send the final signal. Around the world, resistance fighters prepared for the moment of truth. The pulse devices were set to activate simultaneously, creating a wave of energy that would sweep across the planet. That night, Lisa couldn't sleep. She walked through the base, checking on her team. Sam was still at his computer, coordinating with resistance cells. Grace was cleaning her bow. She still preferred the primitive weapon that had started their success. Alan and Joe were making final adjustments to the master control device. Will it work? Lisa asked quietly. Alan looked up, his face tired but determined. In theory? Yes, in practice, I don't know. Nothing like this has ever been tried before. If it doesn't work, Joe added, the aliens will know what we tried to do. They'll adapt their technology. Then we make sure it works the first time, Lisa said firmly. Dawn came too quickly. The resistance leaders gathered in the command center. On screens around the room, they could see alien ships hovering over cities worldwide. More ships than ever before, just as they had planned. All teams report ready, Sam announced. Lisa took a deep breath. This was the moment that would decide Earth's fate. She placed her hand on the activation switch. "For Earth," she said, and flipped the switch. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the lights flickered. Static filled the radio channels. On the screens they watched as alien ships began to wobble in the air. "It's working," Alan shouted. The electromagnetic pulse spread across the planet, growing stronger as each power plant added to its force. The wave of energy hit the alien, technology like a tsunami, canceling out their power frequency. One by one, the mighty Zavarian ships began to fall from the sky. The world watched in amazement as alien ships fell from the sky. Without power, the massive vessels crashed into oceans, deserts, and empty fields. The resistance had carefully timed the attack to minimize civilian casualties. On the ground, alien soldiers found themselves trapped in armor that no longer worked. Their weapons, once so terrifying, were now useless chunks of metal. The mighty Zavarian dominion had been brought down by a simple pulse of energy. "It worked!" Alan shouted, hugging Joe and Sam. Around the command center, resistance fighters cheered, but Lisa's eyes were fixed on one screen. "We still have work to do," she said, pointing to the largest alien ship, which had crash-landed outside Chicago. "Admiral Kraz is on that ship. As long as he's free, Earth isn't safe." Within hours, Lisa led a team of 50 fighters toward Chicago. They drove through abandoned alien checkpoints. The once feared Zavarian troops were running for their lives, their technological advantage gone. "Remember," Lisa told her team as they approached the crashed ship, "they're still dangerous. They're stronger than humans, and they're desperate now." The alien mothership was a mile wide, now sitting at an angle in a farm field. Smoke rose from broken sections. Alien crew members stumbled out of open hatches, confused by the loss of their technology. Lisa's team moved quickly, using ropes and simple tools to climb into the ship. Inside they found chaos. Aliens ran through dark corridors, their emergency lights failing. "The command center should be at the top level," Grace said, leading the way through the strange ship. They found Admiral Kraz in a large circular room filled with dead screens and control panels. The alien commander stood tall, surrounded by his officers. Even without their powered armor, the Zavarians were intimidating, blue-skinned giants with 4 glowing eyes. "Admiral Kraz," Lisa said, stepping forward with her bow ready. "Your invasion is over." The alien leader stared at her with hate in his eyes. "Impossible," he growled in his deep voice. "No primitive species has ever defeated the Dominion." "You made a mistake," Lisa replied. "You judged our weapons by how they looked, not by how we used them. You thought technology alone decided victory." "What have you done to our ships, our weapons?" Kraz demanded. Alan stepped forward. "We understood your technology, then we turned it against you. Your power systems were vulnerable to a simple counter-frequency." "Primitive," spat one of the alien officers. "No," Lisa corrected him. "Adaptive. That's humanity's real strength. We take what works and discard what doesn't. We learn and evolve faster than any species you've ever conquered." Within days, the remaining alien forces surrendered. Without their technology, they had no choice. The Zavarian Dominion that had conquered 20 worlds had finally met its match in humanity. 1 month later, Lisa stood with her team as the last alien transport prepared to leave Earth. The Zavarians had agreed to never return, and to spread word through the galaxy that Earth was not to be threatened. Admiral Kraz, now a prisoner on his own ship, glared at Lisa as he was led aboard. "You won only because we underestimated you," he said bitterly. "No," Lisa replied. "We won because you overestimated yourselves. Remember that lesson." As the alien ship rose into the sky, powered by Earth-supplied energy that would last just long enough to get them home, Lisa turned to her team. "What now?" Grace asked, watching the ship disappear into the clouds. Lisa smiled. "Now we rebuild. And we prepare. The galaxy knows about us now. Some aliens will come as friends. Others might try what the Zavarians failed to do." "Let them try," Alan said confidently. "We'll be ready." The world had changed forever. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged victorious. And somewhere in the vast galaxy, word was spreading about the planet called Earth, where primitive weapons had turned the tide against the mightiest empire among the stars.